What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I am Alex, and welcome to the final group. I gotta make sure the words are very specific. I do plan on doing one more solo stream in a few days by myself, but in terms of a group, we have an amazing group assembled here. I'm gonna have them all introduce themselves. All of their links, every single one, is in the description. If you just click the @ symbol, takes you right to them. Great group of people, both behind the camera and on the camera. So welcome in everybody in the chat. We're just going to go down the line. Some of these faces are familiar. Some of them are not familiar. And so we'll just let you guys introduce yourselves just directly next to me. Take it away, guys.
See, I'm Connor, Hogwarts Legacy Explained. I started out doing Harry Potter walkthroughs. Then last March, Hogwarts Legacy came in with the state play. And since then, I've been dedicated to just exploring this world. Loads and loads of sort of speculation videos with a series called Hogwarts Legacy Talk, 105 today. And yeah, it's what my name is. I'm going to be trying to explain Hogwarts Legacy, helping you all with little tips, little videos in a few days' time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, my name is Blake. I'm Go as Scrubber here on YouTube. I haven't used that name in a very long time, but I make everything Wizarding World content here. Browse Slytherin, and there's not very many Slytherins I've seen throughout these live streams, so it's cool to be a Slytherin in here.
Hello, I'm Last Marauder, Hogwarts Legacy and Wizarding World content creator. I've been doing this for a couple of years. It's really good to be back and really looking forward to it.
Hello, everybody. I am your Sly, and welcome to this amazing podcast. Hey, I'm also another Hogwarts Legacy content creator and Wizarding World creator. The R Division. I talk everything Wizarding World lore, unboxing, and Hogwarts Legacy. Fellow Slytherin as well in chat. Gonna see the Slytherin pride. And Alex, thank you very much for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Of course.
What's up? My name's Nate. I run a channel called The Nightly Nerd, where right now primarily talking about Hogwarts Legacy. Super excited for it to come out. Yeah, proud Gryffindor. Let's talk about Hogwarts Legacy.
It's a diverse group, I truly believe, and the chat's pretty diverse too in terms of the house affiliations and all that kind of stuff. Well, gentlemen, we're here. I want to thank all 5 of you for being here. It's always a blast to talk, and again, some new faces as well. Welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining. We've had quite a stretch of days, haven't we? But we have a lot to talk about, kind of these final thoughts, prediction time for the game itself coming out on Tuesday for, I think, a lot of us. And then also the stuff that they've announced, the PC stuff, the diving stuff. And we had talked about this off screen, gentlemen. I want to start with the diving. Just your water is so important to me. It's essential for life as well. But what do you guys... So I feel like there's been a lot of confusion, all right? I feel like we're all on the same page that you can't literally go under and explore like Horizon, like Assassin's Creed Black, or any Assassin's Creed, many of them. But I think people tend to get confused with the idea of jumping off of a platform into the water, submerging and kind of coming back out. You can do that. So where are we all? And we can just go in order, and then I'll start to switch the faces. Where are we all on water with this game?
So we were all on Sly last night, me, Last Marauder, Nightly Nerd, and I was saying it's great that we can go in, and obviously I'd hate for us to get to that point of water and then you can't go in, or if you go in, you die sort of thing, like a lot of games in the past did. But in terms of not being able to go in, it just feels like it's under the water, which, yeah, I don't think any of us think we can. It feels like a very missed opportunity in terms of, yeah, it would be great to swim for the first few times around the Black Lake, but there are so many more ways to traverse around this world. You've got brooms where you can literally just take off from the water. It's not a game where you have to take a long way around or you can swim. If there's a body of water, if you really can't explore and go under it, you can fly across it. And there's a lot more faster travels. And I appreciate it's in there. We all wanted it. And I appreciate there's not an invisible barrier or we die. But yeah, it just feels it'll be quite empty, quite hollow after a few attempts, few laps around the Black Lake if you can't go under, with the amount of things you can do, fly hippogriffs, brooms, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree with that one. I do appreciate that we're able to actually swim in the water. We saw a lot of that in all the gameplays we saw recently. I think maybe not to say that we're diving necessarily, but say there's a mission or something that we haven't been able to see just yet is underneath the water. Maybe that's where we'll get kind of a cutscene going down. Maybe there's like some type of, say, dungeon or something like that that's down underneath the water. We may get to see a little bit underneath in that way, but I don't see us, unfortunately, being able to just be able to swim freely underwater.
Yeah, I completely agree. Exactly the same as that. I think there will potentially be a mission or something similar that allows us to go into water. Maybe DLC later down the line. We could get an underwater patch with Gillyweed or learning the Bubblehead charm or something like those sort of lines. But the only thing that makes me think there will be a specific mission is that one scene from the State of Play where we're sort of walking and the water's rising.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking there's going to be something that's going to happen with the underwater, but not necessarily the lake.
You're muted. Wait, you're muted.
Here I am. Okay, so I actually agree with I agree with everybody, right? We talked extensively about this last night. I was talking about Ben promoting the Kelpie as the next potential mount, but I think up to this point we don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, Wizard PhD. If you watch her stream, she tried to do everything. Right, she tried to move the control up, down, left, and right. She touched every button, and it just didn't work. And but like you said, Alex, we can jump into the water. We kind of dive a little bit, but we float back up,
Right.
and we can just get faster and slower. But like Last Marauder said, I do think it will be some sort of side mission DLC in the future where we can actually dive into the Black Lake and see the more people and everything to retrieve something. So that's my take on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it was partially a decision made because they wanted to limit the size of the game because it's already 85, 90 gigs. And who knows how big the actual day one patch is going to be. So you're talking about consoles, and I know PC you can have pretty much unlimited, but for console players, you're talking about having maybe 500 gigs to play with. And yeah, it's your only game that you're playing. But if you add a whole underwater section, it's going to be probably another 20, 30 gigs. So I think they did it a little bit to limit it, and they'll add it in later.
Yeah. I would definitely take an underwater kind of, well, the DLC, we'll talk about DLC. I mean, I think they have a lot of options for that one, but totally would take it. And yeah, I think just from whether leaks of what they had in the game and they removed, I don't necessarily believe a lot of those leaks, but it is possible they had more ideas than were actually put into the game, and swimming was one of them. Pivoting to the PC thing, a little controversial, and we'll get into some of the positive stuff and kind of our last thoughts of the game. Where are we all on what we're playing it on? And then what do you think about, the PC drama that's happened over the last couple of days? And hold on, I'm literally just going to move everybody down one, and we'll keep going from there.
So I'll take the hit for everybody here.
Okay.
I think it's a terrible idea. I don't know 100%. Right before this, we tossed around ideas on why they did it based on what we've heard from other creators or XYZ. And I just think it's a bad idea, especially, and I know I don't want to talk about it too much, but Xbox, you're going to be able to play it on the 6th. And now you're pushing everybody back even further. So people will play the game a full day and a half before PC players have it. So people who have upgraded their systems or done XYZ to play this game now can't even play it till maybe 6 p.m. on the 7th. So I just think it's a bad idea. It's a bad look, but it is what it is. And I don't know.
What are you going to play it on? What's your official?
I'll be playing on Xbox on Monday, and then I'll be playing PlayStation primarily.
See, I'll be on the PS5. But yeah, in terms of the PC thing, it doesn't affect me, so I've had to listen to what others have had to think. And we had a guy on Livestream last night from Australia, and we've worked out he will get to play till the 8th of February now at about 5:30 in the morning. On the Xbox, he can be playing that midnight, 7 sort of thing. So he's waiting a whole 27, 28 hours, and that is such a massive gap between what he had and what he's now got. And yeah, people in the UK were having to wait till about 6:30. And that's to download it. So that's not even to play it. So once it starts downloading, yeah, you're talking 20 to 30 hours kickback between the Xbox and the PlayStation to the PC one. It just puts people at such a disadvantage and in like a really awkward position of they don't want it spoiled. So yeah, they really are stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I do feel like genuinely sorry for all PC people who have like Last Marauder. We'll probably talk about it in a second, but yeah, like the plans go out the window and things like that. But yeah, it just sucks. But it, like we were saying off screen, it's not just Hogwarts Legacy. It is a PC thing. And it's something that does need to be looked into, really, with games.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I am a PC player, so I'll be experiencing this pretty. It's kind of one of those things that it is what it is, but it is very unfortunate, and the fact that they shared it so late that it was going to be happening, which is kind of unfortunate. I was going to get a PS5. I didn't end up getting the PS5. Just stuck with PC, and now, especially as a content creator, you kind of you push behind all these people who have it. It's not like a huge difference, I guess, but it will affect the content creation, getting your videos out, and it's just unfortunate. But it is what it is, I guess.
I mean, I don't.
Oh no!
On the next set of questions.
Right.
Hello. Oh, okay, cool.
It froze.
Yeah.
Re-say what you said.
Sorry, I don't think this is like an Avalanche problem. I think this is a Steam problem. But for me, I was doing a live stream at midnight at release for 24 hours for charity. And I've now had to go out and spend money on the game on PlayStation, on the capture cards, on all sorts of things. I know it's a unique case for me specifically because obviously I'm going to be streaming it and playing it like that. And for a lot of people, it's not that drastic. But yeah, like it hit me hard and it did annoy me. But I understand it's not Avalanche, and I'm not going to blame them.
Yeah. So for me, I'm gonna be a PS5 streamer. It's I've been talking to a lot of content creators out there also about this, and a lot of them were planning on playing it on the PC, and a lot of them, like Last Marauder, had set aside, had taken vacation time, had taken time off work, and all of that in order to be there at midnight, if you will. And the other thing too, everybody, with the PC, you can't preload anything. Right when that drops, you have to click on it, you have to install, and there's the day one patch that's going to come allegedly with the installation. Right, how long that's going to take? That's going to depend on your internet speed and all of that. So, really unfortunate. Like Blake said, it was a last minute decision. Right, they had plenty of time to test it out, and it brings up a good point. Right, I mean, we all know that this is not a WB Avalanche issue, but they have been having so many issues with releasing their material and content. Right, think about the collector's edition. Right, I was there when it came out, but nothing really showed until 30 minutes to an hour after it was allegedly supposed to be released. So it's unfortunate. There's a lot of people. Purple Witcher is one. Who's absolutely devastated, right? So a lot of people like Last Marauder, just if they're fortunate enough to be able to switch stream, just go get a PS5 if they can in the game or the Xbox. It's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, and it's Warner Bros has kind of pulled this before. Looking at the higher ups for Gotham Knights, these kind of last second, like Blake said, these last second announcements. Gotham Knights was pretty notorious for doing that with the frame rate. So it seems like it kind of lies in the family, I would say, above them. But yeah, I feel bad primarily for the people that I see in the comments of all the people that say there's a lot of people that took off the day of work. I get it. It's individual, and some of us get like hurt more, go cry more, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, there's truly a lot of people that you'll see that took off the whole day. They were planning, now that it just gets screwed over. And whether it's an Avalanche issue or not, and it's not, it's still, you could have said it 3 weeks ago. You could have done it just a little bit, sooner. So yeah, it is what it is. It's a negative thing, and it's been there here and there. But overall, I mean, I think the game is looking good. It's in good condition. And that brings me to the next thing. I'm sure you guys probably answer this all individually. And I think we've probably asked this before. With the game just a few days away, what's the first thing when you have free reign, you're able to do whatever, go wherever? What's the first thing that you will do. Let me move everybody over by one. So I'm being fair. Okay, Sly, take it away. First thing that you're gonna do when you have free reign.
Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to explore the game, right? I am very much focused on trying to figure out what I can do. I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to have our mounts or anything like that right away, but probably going to be able to hop on the broom and just go. And that's basically what I'm going to do. I want to go into the Forbidden Forest. I want to see what that's all about. I want to see how high we can go, even in the beginning. Try to break flying a little bit, and then Hogwarts. Right, this is a dream come true for 25 years. Right, they've created this amazing castle. So much detail, right, went into it, and I definitely want to see what's going to be available to us as we start the game. I'm sure there's going to be many unlockable areas, but that's the thing that excites me the most. Is to be able to, breathe the game, right? Be in Hogwarts, go to Hogwarts. So
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think testing the boundaries a little bit, maybe trying to sneak out of your dorm room or go into the other common rooms at night, or do whatever you can really push the boundaries are. There's been that image from Professor Lynette's stream floating around where you can't land on certain parts of the castle. Maybe try to go up there and see if you can actually land there, or if it was just like part of the dev build or XYZ.
Right.
And since playing, like some of us will be playing earlier than others, I might try to start in a different house to see if it's any different.
Oh.
Rather than just play Gryffindor, I might start in another house, and then my full stream, I'll do Gryffindor. But we'll kind of play around with things. I think just exploring and pushing the boundaries is definitely the first thing.
Yeah, I made a video a few days ago about this. Quite similar to Nate's answer, just sort of seeing what we can do in this game, because we've seen so much, but yeah, we still know so little. And yeah, exactly the sort of things, landing in certain areas. From playing a lot of the past Potter games, that was like one of the criticisms I had of them, especially with the broom travel. You could not land on rooftops, things like that. Just pushing the boundaries, seeing how far they've come. Because yeah, as a guy who started out as just a Harry Potter game YouTuber, I want to see how far we've come from the games 15, 16 years ago. I mean, we was talking in the stream last night about like the mini games that were available 16 years ago and not available now. But yeah, I just want to see how far we've come in terms of Potter games in that time.
For sure. Completely agree with all that. Exploration is going to be a huge part of Hogwarts Legacy for me. Just going around the castle, trying to find some Easter eggs, anything like that. Even like that cave with the, I think it was like a red squid or octopus in it that Retro barely missed out on seeing when he was playing the game. Just little things like that, just kind of coming across, and definitely going into Forbidden Forest and really just pushing the boundaries of the game, like you guys said.
Vada Kedavra is what I want to try and do as soon as possible. Yeah, I just want to. I think it's a bit of everything that everyone said. I just want to see, what I can break and what I can't break, and just there's certain areas I would like to go to first. I want to see like the kitchens and certain things that we know from like the books, like secrets we know from the books, like secret passageways, like the humped lady statue. Like I want to see if I can find that and see if I can get in it and proper nerd out at like Harry Potter content and see if there's sort of things in the game that they've got from the books that we know.
Nice. Yeah, I think I like the pushing boundaries kind of idea and just testing what this game is capable of. Jumping from maybe the highest point literally possible into the water, see what happens to you there. Those kind of game breaking things. Where I think we've already said kind of our house affiliations, but what's the plan for everybody for multiple walkthroughs, what would be the order that you would? I think we had this talk. I think maybe Andy and I talked about like if you had one walkthrough, then two, then three. What's the order of all four that you would do if you're even doing four? I wanted to do four originally, but at the same time, I don't know. There's a lot of games coming out right afterwards, so go ahead. This is definitely not the right order, but go ahead, Last Marauder. You're in the right spot. I think this is right.
So I obviously I'm going to be doing the live stream first playthrough, so I'm going to do what I'm told basically. So and then I want to do a Ravenclaw playthrough because that's what I am. So yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do for my sort of general capture for like making videos and that sort of stuff. So in my own time, I'll be playing it and then obviously capturing what I can that way. And I'll be a Ravenclaw every time I do that. But yeah, I'm going to do what I'm told.
Yeah, I'm going to be running as Slytherin. And that's going to be my first playthrough, Slytherin all the way. I'm going to try to break that glass in the common room, see what happens. Or even use the telescope, right, and peek through the Black Lake and see if there's something in there that would remotely perhaps point to a future DLC. But then I'll proceed to play as a Ravenclaw, because that's kind of I think we can all assimilate with potentially 2 or more houses. But Ravenclaw would be next, followed by Gryffindor, then Hufflepuff.
Very good.
Yeah, I think the majority of my playthrough will be in Gryffindor. And then Ravenclaw has always been interesting to me. It's the only house I've ever gotten other than Gryffindor on a quiz. So it was one time, and I like the common room the best. So I'll definitely be spending time in there. And then Slytherin and Hufflepuff. Hufflepuff, I just don't like that common room. I just can't spend time there. But in terms of the 100% playthrough, it's going to be Gryffindor.
See, I'm being really boring, really generic, starting with Gryffindor being like a good guy. And then my second playthrough, I've said I'm going to be doing like a full evil dark wizard playthrough. I'm just going to let my viewers decide who I go as. So obviously that'll be the other 3. So yeah, it's up to them who I play as second. I probably most likely would want to be, I agree with everyone here, like Ravenclaw, sort of that second house sort of thing. And yeah, I definitely would put Hufflepuff last. And if we do need to, yeah, that'll be like the chore at the end to get the platinum. If we have to complete his all 4 houses, Hufflepuff will be, sometime in the distant future.
For sure. So my full playthrough, I'll be Slytherin, probably darker side just for my actual playthrough. But like Last Marauder, I'll be doing a let's play. So kind of let the chat and everything control the adventure. But I'll go through all the houses eventually and maybe even do like a no damage playthrough. Have to restart after you get any damage.
I mean, for all of the Hufflepuff haters, careful. Poppy's coming for you.
True.
Yeah, no, I always said as a joke, I think it was the first game I did with Alex where I was like, we could do a Harry Potter playthrough where it's just Expelliarmus.
Somebody for the love of God needs to do that. Like I thought maybe Ben would be the one. But I mean, I think it's free game for literally anybody to just use Stupefy the whole time. Those kind of spells. The no damage stuff is interesting. I want to talk about the combat because one thing that certainly seemed to come from the previews is more recognition, I suppose, that the combat's really good. Like when they first showed it that state of play, I liked it. There was actually, that's maybe the most divide I've ever had when I've been positive and I've seen people being negative. Normally it's the other way around. There was a lot of people that didn't like the stiffness and like the rolls and one move, pause, next move. I always liked it. And then the previews, you had people like IGN even coming out there and saying, this is really good. Like the combat's like, shockingly better than you think it's going to be. So what did everybody, we'll get to the super chat. And by the way, if you guys have an urgent question or anything like that, the super chats, for sure we'll read them and we'll all answer it. And make sure you're leaving a like, all that good stuff. But what do you guys think of specifically just the combat? Let me reorganize. Go ahead, Blake, you can start.
Okay. Well, to be honest with you guys, this is like one of my first I'm a huge multiplayer guy, PvP. So this is one of my first full single player playthrough games. Huge Harry Potter fan, so I had to do it. I think the combat looks fantastic. I've played like some of the older God of Wars, and kind of how you would combat like certain attacks coming at you. It just looks smooth and flawless and all the gameplay and everything that we've seen so far. So I really have no complaints on the combat. I'm super excited to dive into it and get involved.
I'm going to take a different tune. Until I play it, I'm really skeptical on it.
Okay. I like it.
And I pride myself on just being straight honest. And I will be the first person to tell you if it's good or not, in my opinion, obviously. But I think the amount of enemies that just stand around and don't do anything really bothers me. and it looks smooth. It looks like the controls are good because if you played The Witcher next gen, you already know that kind of R2 and then the face button wheel you can press for different spells. But I'm really weary on how aggressive the enemies are going to be. So we'll see. I mean, I'll be the first person to tell you I was wrong.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as Nate, Nightly Nerd. I think it's very smooth. I think it runs like a dance. I think it's the best way to put it, right? It's everything that I've always thought a wizarding battle would be or look like. But like Nate said, I think it's people stand around too much. People look at you and there's a lot of this, but nothing's happening. They're just looking at you, pointing their wands, and nothing is happening. And it's unfortunate, and I wonder if that'll change. But I think that they've decided to go with the approach of having as many enemies as possible, but in order to keep that difficulty level to playable level, only a few of them generate their attacks at specific points, right? As opposed to games like Elden Ring, where it's right the complete opposite, where you have one enemy and that's your attention because they're so extremely powerful. So I wish there was a balance there. I wish there was more of a balance. I wish we weren't fighting a bunch of people all at once just to make this extremely difficult. But there's definitely a lot of standing around that I really didn't appreciate. But I'm not going to judge it right now. I want to play it. I want to see what this is all about. I want to see what it feels like with the controller as well, and hopefully everything's smooth.
So yeah, from a player perspective, I think it looks good. How I like the movement, I like the spell casting from our side, the rolls, things like that. I think it looks really good from a player perspective. But yeah, agreeing with Sly and Nate, we were saying this last night as well. With obviously, it could be a difficulty thing. I think they were all playing on easy at the previewing thing.
A lot of them changed it purposely to easy.
Yeah. Exactly. So it could be just
one of them was playing story.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so it's that thing of the difficulty does play a factor. I don't think a lot of us will be playing on easy. So that could improve it. And I was saying last night about Spider-Man, how when you are on easy, it is sort of like that. But when you get up to, I'm playing it at the moment, just replaying it, and on the New Game Plus, highest difficulty, you've got rocket launchers, gunfire.
It gets nuts.
Yeah. Like if you are on the hard difficulty of Hogwarts Legacy, you would expect 2-3 wizards who you are dueling, for example, in that dragon arena, to be firing spells at you at the same time. So there's a lot of dodging. I'm going to put it down to difficulty, at least I hope. So now, because I've not played it, so from a player's perspective, really like it. But yeah, hoping it's just a difficulty thing where when you are on a higher difficulty, you are going to have to think more and will be more attacks coming at you.
I think it looks great so far. Everything we've seen looks good. I asked in one of my videos, 3 of the guys that played it, what they thought of the combat. That was one of my specific questions, and they all said it was great. So I think it's going to feel fun. I think that's the most important thing for me. It's not necessarily the difficulty and the the amount of enemies attacking me and lots of stuff. For me, as long as it feels fun and it's engaging, and the little missions that you can do and that sort of stuff, just to add a bit of variant to how you've got to play it, I think that for me is more important. But I do agree, in the footage we've seen, there's a lot of people that just sort of stand around, but I think it is going to be down to difficulty. I think as you up the difficulty, there's going to be a lot more spells coming at you, but there's also going to be a lot more variety in the shield charms that they're using. So obviously the different colors we got to use, different spells and that sort of stuff. So I think there's gonna be a lot more variety in that sense as well. So I think it'll pick up the harder difficulty it gets. But I think it's gonna be one of my favorite elements of the game, which I didn't think before I saw any of the actual gameplay.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Well, it's good to hear some people that with the standing the AI. I want to talk about the Hogwarts Castle with that, because every time I had brought up doesn't seem too alive, people will immediately say, no, the AI looks really, really good. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's move everybody, and this time I'm gonna freaking do it right. It's here. Okay, what's everybody's favorite spells? Mine would be AK, and then any spell that has to do with water. And I always say that, and I always say I don't remember the spell, and I still don't remember the spell. So any spell that would have to conjure up water would be mine.
So my favorite spell in the game so far is I like the way I like the way when we use it, Expelliarmus, then we can fling it back at them. I think that looks really cool. We saw it with the like knight characters in the State of Play trailer. I think that looks really cool. But if you talk about my favorite spell in general, it's the Undertake Squad Extension Shell, just because it's got so many uses, and we've obviously seen it in the Poppy section because it's on the tent again, and I just think that's just a great spell, and it opens up so many possibilities because any picture in Hogwarts could literally have a Quidditch stadium behind it, and I just think it's the best spell ever.
Yep, completely agree with those. I would have to say AK is probably gonna be one of my go-to, one of my favorites. But Incendio, anything that can be over the top with, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I don't really have a favorite. I think just whatever spell kind of breaks the game, to be honest. I mean, from like a gaming standpoint, there's going to be something that's more powerful than the rest, and that will probably be just spammed over and over and over. But I like to play stealth, so probably anything that, like, if Petrificus Totalis is the only thing you can really use in stealth, then it's probably going to be that. So we'll see, but whatever's kind of broken in the game will be my go-to.
Yeah, for me, like Blake, is Avada Kedavra, and primarily the reason there. I mean, all of Descendo looks amazing. Also, they're all great, but for me, it's been the hype of that spell, right? I think when we saw that drop in the showcase, I mean, my jaw just dropped. I was like, we can't do AK? Are you serious? And I wonder how, I mean, they've showed us the mechanic of it all, and I wonder how many focus points we can down to make sure that we can just keep on spamming AK. But I think it brings in a really interesting mechanic to the game, never seen before in a Harry Potter game.
Because I'm a Potter nerd, the spell you're thinking of, Alex, is Aguamenta.
There we go.
But no, mine, I've heard rumors it's going to be in the game. It's not a spoiler or anything. I've just heard rumors from the start because I'm a guy who's played all the Harry Potter games from PS1 era sort of thing. It's Flipendo. Just it seems like this made up spell that's forced its way into canon, and I sort of love that. That's like this gaming community of the early Harry Potter games from PS1 to like the PS2 era has forced it into Harry Potter canon. And yeah, it's like this spell that's really overpowered for an 11-year-old to be using. In the early games, it does everything. You want to hurt someone, Flipendo, destroy bookcases, Flipendo. It's the all action spell. So yeah, Flipendo for me, just for the nostalgia of the early games.
It is in the game, confirmed, because it was in the Poppy used it in one of the videos that I saw. If you had the subtitles on, you can literally see Poppy. It says Flipendo.
Perfect.
Also
Perfect.
I just saw that they used the same sort of sounds to it there. Flipendo.
I think
The over
it's
top.
also in the ancient
I know,
magic.
very nostalgic.
The ancient magic's definitely interesting because we don't really know much about it. I mean, you can turn people into a chicken, you can bring down elements on people, so that's going to be something that's going to be fun to play with.
Yeah, I think Expecto Go, James, he mentioned that it acts up randomly. It depends on the enemy, right? Some people get turned into chicken, some people get vaporized. So
We had and this actually connects to the previews, this question about the choices and remembering things. So we have talked about this before, but ever since the previews, right? I don't know what you guys have. We'll go down the line where you guys can say your piece. I was always confused because they never really were very. In fact, even now, I would say they're not still specific on how the game, remembers. Then we get the previews, and the thing that drops with the previews is, the 100+ side quests. You can do them in any order, but also characters will remember that. They'll remember if you did their side quest when you then do the main story, and if they're in the main story, they will remember you did the side quest. So it feels like the game actually remembers more than specifically me. I'll go against myself. I gave it credit for, but we still don't really know. So where are all you guys on what the game remembers, what it doesn't, and then branching off endings and all that stuff? Let me see if I can do this, and take it away.
So yeah, I mean, the one example I think we saw the most in the previews was Retro. Maybe other people saw this. Was here's the Troll Disgrace of Hogsmeade, and that seems like it's a very story-based mission where that will be a mission in the story. So I think it's still very basic. I mean, I'm like comparing it to like a Red Dead with the honor bar and stuff, where you go into a random village. I mean, if your honor's low, people know that and people remember every action. I still think in this game it remembers story missions. It may reference side tasks and things, but yeah, like your overall thing in the world. I obviously it's not good. I don't think it'll be as strong. I think it'll just bring up story missions, some side quests, things like that. I think that's what will impact it. And the side quests, it will only impact, for example, Sebastian. He'll bring up in a main mission maybe something you do in a side quest, quite similar to Red Dead in that remark. But yeah, overall actions in the world. I mean, we still don't know if we can still do stuff. For example, in an RPG, can you loot something that you're not supposed to? In like a hamlet or something, we don't know that. Is that going to be something a person in that village hamlet remembers? I don't think so. I don't know if that's a possibility, but yeah, I just think the big story points at that point in the game that will be remembered, but nothing else.
I'm a little bit the opposite to that, because I kind of think that they're going to reference. It's not going to affect gameplay in any way. I don't think there's going to be any effect on gameplay. I think the story is a story driven. It's going to get to a final point. Whether there's two endings or not is another matter. But it's just going to funnel you down the way to this story. And if you do certain side missions, it will just be able to add power to you and certain elements of the game. I don't think it's going to affect the game on what side missions you do. But I think it's sort of in a similar way to I think I said this last night. Similar way to like GTA, like when you're playing a game and then the radio news station comes on and like mentions something that happened. I think there will be just like characters or portraits or whatever will just mention things that you've done throughout the game, and even side quests and stuff like that. I think they're just going to sort of be like, "Oh, did you hear that? This shop blew up?" And you're like, "Ah, that was me." So I think it'd be those sort of things.
Yeah, I definitely think that little side quests and stuff that you do will trigger effects within the game. Maybe either that's just by dialogue, or if I don't know if the side quest would really have a huge impact on the overall ending or overall how you're treated within the game. But I definitely think that the side quest and main story will play a big factor. But the main story, I think, will definitely be more of the pushing factor on how you're remembered.
I think getting this information, especially from Alan 2, I think it was the first showcase about not having like a real morality system, made me, along with a lot of other people, really temper their expectations for the game. Whereas we thought it was going to be more like a bully Hogwarts sim, and you could do a lot, and there would be like an infamous, if anybody's played the infamous games, morality systems where you could sway heavy dark or heavy light. And that's just not the case. So it kind of changed what the game truly is for us, rather than thinking about something like that. And like everyone said, I just think it's going to be quips. I think it's going to be really quick. Like when you run by Flu Flame, you might see something. They might say something pertinent to that Flu Flame, but it's not going to be anything crazy specific to gameplay.
Yeah, I think Hogwarts Legacy in general is going to be a very narrative driven game, right? I think it's going to obviously remember the main quest, the main story, and I think the side quests, especially the, as I call the hero side quests with the companions, if you will, I think it'll definitely feed into that main quest and the outcome of the game. But there are so many different other side quests out there that I think will be implemented, like Last Marauder said, via portraits talking. We've heard students talking about different things that we've done as the DMC walks about Hogwarts, right? But I do think that this game has one ending. I don't think it has multiple endings, and that has to and a lot of it has to do with that lack of morality system, if you will. But being able to choose what you're gonna do when for example, something like the House Cup is not gonna be playable, right? It's narrative driven. So one way or the other, we're either gonna lose the House Cup or we're gonna win the House Cup, right? If we have no influence upon that. So but I do think that this game in particular is going to be very, very narrative based.
Okay, that's going to be my next question is the ending. And they run off the line of choose your, it's your legacy, choose your own legacy, whatever it is. Where do we stand? I was going to actually add this as like a bonus question to what we were already answering, but how do you think the ending goes? One ending, is it telltale or don't nod where one choice literally dictates it? How do you guys think the ending is structured? And we'll have Sly go first. Everybody moves to the right. Takes me so long to figure out that just literally shift everybody to the right by one, but I'm so stupid that it's hard. Okay, go ahead, Sly. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's one ending, like I mentioned before. I think that there will be, different choices that we're going to be able to do. They're going to lead up, I think, to one specific ending, right? And a lot of it has to do with what I mentioned. The House Cup narrative driven. This game was going to be called Hogwarts: A Dark Legacy. As we know, there's a lot of influence of dark magic and everything else in this specific game. So I see there's going to be a bunch of side quests, right, in flavor to add to that story, right, to allow us to partake in different side missions connected to the main quest. But I think it's going to be very much linear, in my opinion.
I'm of the opinion there'll be different ways to get to this ending. I agree with Sly that there'll be one ending, but I think you obviously with the path you take, I think there'll be different ways to get to that one ending. Even in the final mission, I think there'll be different ways to how to approach that ending. But I still think no matter what you do, it's going to end a particular way. But I still think, I think there'll be 2 or 3 ways, dark, light, murky grey area to get to that ending. But I think there'll be branches to go down, but at one point, it's going to come down to something. And these big baddies, it's going a particular way for everyone, no matter what you do. But hopefully, I'm still hoping there'll be different ways to get to that ending to add to that replay value.
I think the ending will be a set ending, but I think our choices will affect who is present during the ending. So I think what we, whoever we become friends with most, or something like that, one might have effect whether they're in the ending with us, or if we've done certain missions potentially. If we go on like sort of the Battle of Hogwarts for it's one that's sort of been batted around by a few creators. But if there is, say, like a Battle of Hogwarts or a big battle or something like that, depending on what missions you've done, for instance, if you've helped out the centaurs, maybe the centaurs will come and be part of that for you. And if you've helped, like if you've sort of taken out a certain amount of goblins, then there'll be less goblins. I don't think it's going to affect the actual storyline of the gameplay, but I think it's going to affect how the final mission plays out and who's there and potentially who survives.
Well, Mass Effect like with that kind of answer, I feel.
Yeah, similar. I've only played one of them. Sorry. Gaming confessions.
I definitely like all those. I think that's a good way to look at it. I hope that there's multiple endings, but I'm kind of looking at going into it. I think there's just going to be one with multiple ways to get there. I don't see them having multiple endings. It'd be beneficial if they would, just for content wise, but I definitely think we'll have different ways, different cutscenes we may or may not see, but ultimately to get to one finite ending.
Yeah, I kind of looked at the trophies, and that's the only spoilers I looked at, so I won't bring them up. But I definitely agree with everybody, even before looking at those, that I think there's gonna be multiple ways to get to one ending. But there will be the one ending at the end, and I think it has to be that way, even with the leak of the Battle of Hogwarts, because if they're gonna make sequels or DLC or make this a live service, like you get DLCs every couple months, you have to have kind of one set so it doesn't make the future content null and void or the previous content null and void because you're moving forward with something else. So it kind of has to have like a set direct story, even though it's your experience through Hogwarts.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's just the easiest all the way around, like you just said, setting everything in stone, and then that way when you do a 6th year Hogwarts Legacy 2, let's say, you don't have to worry about, oh, these very much differentiate. I bring up Life is Strange, or you even look at Mass Effect from 3 to what they're now going to do. How hard is it to remember all that stuff? And it's way too much branching right in the beginning. It's pretty much the hang up, right? It's not even that there is branching. It's that before the game even starts, everybody will have 10, 15 different options to get to the start of the game, which is nuts. And you literally can't do that. At least not yet. I'd like to see a game that can try it, but Hogwarts Legacy is definitely not the game that's going to do that.
I remember. I remember playing Saints Row 3, and Shawnee can die at the end, or you. And I remember I let her die. And I remember going to Saints Row 4, like, but she died. I don't like that in games when you pick an ending, and then for the next one, they're like, yeah, but that's not the canon ending. Yeah, if they do GTA 6, if they continue a GTA 5 story, and obviously you let one of the characters.
I think it was Force Unleashed 2 did that with 2 endings, but they said I think the light ending was canon.
Yeah, there's
right.
Yeah.
I think it hurts the game in that sense, especially when you go into a sequel. If you've got people whose choices didn't matter in the end, like you chose that Indiana Jones quote, you chose poorly. Yours doesn't count. So I do think that's why there should be one set ending if they're going to aim for sequels.
So the only thing I will say in regards to that is, I think our choices will affect one of our companions, and I personally think one of our companions is going to die, and I think our choices will decide on which one of them it's going to be. But all of the companions have a story element that could mean that they won't be there in the next one anyway. Right. So I don't think in the sequel any of our companions will be there. Maybe Fig will be, or something like that. Like maybe there's gonna be like story safe characters. But I think if you look at like Natsai, Sebastian, or Poppy, there is elements of their story that they could all leave at the end of it. So Poppy, might be might die. Sebastian could then have to go care for his sister, and that side could go back home. Do you know what I mean? There's elements of that could just get rid of all of them. So whichever story you chose to do, all 3 of them are going to leave either way, if that makes sense. So there's elements of that could happen.
Yeah, I think that's a template you have to do. I think with those, you get into like a Telltale situation. They ran into that problem with Kenny. You keep him alive, and then he's just kind of thrown it, and you have to kill him off, and which is kind of annoying how they did it. So it's literally exactly what you said. You have to organically send them, just replace them for the next game. Those can't be the same companions again. Maybe even some of the teachers, to be honest, depending on how integral they are.
Well, I for one think that Fig will be the one to perish.
Well, yeah, I kind of think so too.
And if you think about it, right, at the very end of the launch trailer, right, you see us with the cup, right, raising the cup, and next to us is not Fig, it's Weasley. So if Fig, right, is and it would be a very romantic sort of tie, right? He once again meets his wife, if you will, right, Miriam, if she is in fact dead, and if she's not in fact Madam Mason. So, but I think we're gonna have that Dumbledore-esque sort of relationship with Fig, and maybe they're gonna do the same thing that they did with Dumbledore, if you will, to bring the stakes up a little bit. So,
yeah. Well, let's go off that, because that was eventually going to be a question. If you had to kill a character, I actually am doing a predictions video that'll go up the next couple of days, and I predict there'll be 2 main characters, which companions, teachers, that'll die. But I kind of copped out. I didn't even say who they could be, but I'm going to assume 2. If you had to kill a couple, if there is a Battle of Hogwarts or whatever, what would be, how would you handle it?
I would kill Poppy. I think that's it's just is what it is. I don't think she's sweet. And you know who else? I would kill Zenobia Noak. I know she's like a little 11-year-old, and she's probably a first year, but she seems like a brat. The teachers, I don't have a good enough gauge on to really say either way. I think one of them will end up dying, or maybe I don't know, maybe one of them's a werewolf like Lupin and they have to leave. So if you get a second game, there's gonna be a new professor, teacher, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, it would definitely be some of the students that are saying they're getting bullied, but they're actually doing the bullying. So, yeah.
Okay, so the first one that I would kill, it would be Ominous Gaunt. And we saw that name in one of the gameplays, right? And I paused it and I looked at it. We talked about that yesterday. And I was like, hold on a minute. There's someone walking around Hogwarts with the last name Gaunt. So it kind of came to me, one of those moments where, fast forward, we have, Tom Riddle with the Gaunt family, and then someone with a time turner going, nope, not going to happen. Turn the time turner, go back to Hogwarts Legacy, kills this Gaunt guy, and erases the continuation of the family. But that would be Gaunt would be one, and then the second one would be Fig for the reasons I just talked about. I think it would be very interesting to the story. It would add a lot of flavor to it, and a lot of consequence, right? Action consequence, I think.
Well, let me add on, actually. I should have done this before. Let's go back to Nightly Nerd just for this. So on top of this question, do Ranrock and Rookwood make it? And or do they get arrested, die, turn on? Like, what would you do with them? So
we had a good little theory conversation previously. I think Ranrock and Rookwood aren't as close as they think.
I predict
they are.
Rookwood's going to turn on him. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think Rookwood's going to turn on Ranrock, and I think he gets sick of Ranrock, and he goes, if he's telling me to do this, I could just do this with the kid. So
Right.
maybe I'll just make a deal with him or her, and we'll go do it together, and then we'll take out Rookwood or Ranrock. So yeah, I think they're going to turn on each other. So one of them's going to die for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been known in wizarding lore how much wizards really hate goblins and vice versa. And I think Rookwood, from the little footages we've seen, I think he's pretty smart. I think he's very sly, no pun intended. But I think he's using Ranrock, Rookwood is, to find this weapon, if you will. And when he gets what he wants, he's going to either one, try to eliminate Ranrock altogether, or two, allow us and to defeat Ranrock so he could rise, to take over the wizarding world. Like, he doesn't care what Ranrock wants, so much so that in the showcase we see that Ranrock is actually withholding information from Rookwood when he looks at Ranrock and says, "What are you not telling me?" Right? So Ranrock definitely knows a lot more than Rookwood, and Rookwood knows that. So I think Rookwood is going to eventually end up in Azkaban, but I do think that Ranrock will be killed.
Yeah, I mean, I speculated yesterday. I still feel there's a guy in the background putting these two together rather than, because they just, even as an alliance, what we've seen so far, just clashing, don't get along. So I think they've been put together by someone. And I do feel out of the two, the most likely to die would be Ranrock. Just because, goblins, like the wizard sort of race, I just feel he'd be the most one to be eliminated first.
I can't wait to see the articles written, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. One who's not favoured above, but we've seen that already, and what we're being compared to, which I think a few of us have said, like, that reflects more on you thinking that than those in world. No, but going back to the first question, I'm going Sebastian and Fig. I think Fig, obviously, just being out in the front line, like the leader of this, almost. You do see a lot of parallels with this to Harry Potter, with Professor Weasley, quite similar to McGonagall, Sharp and Snape. So I do feel Fig and Dumbledore is a sort of like rhymes. And I do feel being out in the front line, he's at an age. So I think he'll sacrifice himself quite similarly, to save us, because he knows, like Dumbledore and Harry, we are the greater good. We're going to be the one who can stop this with our ancient magic. And then, Sebastian, in sort of this... his dark path he's gone down. I think he will go down a bit too far. Obviously with his sister's curse, try to find. Maybe I was saying the people who've put this illness, this curse on her, he goes down this dark path, and he probably realizes it's a bit, and then again dies that way. I don't think he'll die in some sort of main story quest in terms of if there's a battle of Hogwarts or this fight with Ranrock and Fig. I think he dies in his own storyline of trying to save his sister.
If I could kill someone, it would be Hika, and I probably pronounced it wrong because I always seem to, but I don't trust her, and I don't know why. I cannot explain why I don't trust her, but I just do not trust that character. So I would kill her. I think the most likely character to die is going to be Sebastian for exactly the same reasons. I think he's either going to go too far down the path and end up killing himself by accident, or he's going to go too far down the path and then have some sort of heroic sacrifice moment. So I think he's most likely to die. And yeah, what we were talking about with Ranrock and Rookwood, I think I even said yesterday, I think that he's going to be the one that teaches us AK. So I think during the mission that we sort of backstab Ranrock with Rookwood, I think that's where we're going to learn AK, and it's going to be a mission where, you know, he teaches us that, and like, you know, these goblins are not going to hold back, so we're not going to hold back. This is how you do the Vada Kedavra, and then we're going to sort of team up with him as such and go on and do that. So I think, yeah, Ranrock's likely going to be. I think they might both die personally, but I think, yeah, Ranrock's likely going to be the one.
I love that.
Yep, I agree with that. I think Ranrock, he's going to get killed. I think we're going to help Rookwood turn on him, honestly. But I think Rookwood might escape, maybe for possibilities of later on, maybe some issues down the road for another game, looking way ahead. But could go to Azkaban, you never know. But I'd probably kill Poppy. And I think Fig would be more of just like a sacrificial thing, like we talked about, for the greater good, like a Dumbledore situation, just to get a little juicy story going for
Am I the only one that thinks Rookwood acted like Jack Sparrow in the launch trailer, or was that just?
No, see,
Yeah,
when I watched your video and you said that, I went back to sort of the free broomstick scene, and yeah, the sort of swaying.
Yeah, he sways.
Yes.
He's got
Yeah.
like he leans on one part of his body, which is
Yeah.
exactly what Jack
Mhm.
does. I
And,
mean, it's
yeah,
like
the way he speaks, like, no need. I'm just here for him. You know, it sort of reminds me how he speaks here when he's, you know, in the first one. You know, it's in the second where Will's turning him a lot. It's sort of, yeah. I understand we're enemies, but let's go. Yeah.
I really like him.
Well,
Yeah.
Genuinely,
I do.
like
Yeah.
him.
I,
He's
yeah,
like one
I
of
think
those
people
villains
took it
that
as
I
a
wanted,
negative.
like.
It's like I'm not.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't know is I just don't know what kind of character, and I think it's on purpose because I do think he's gonna, yeah, like you guys are saying.
Yeah.
I think his role is to kind of be questionable of what's going on and use you to help turn on Ranrock. So he's supposed to be kind of ambiguous, and you don't really know. I just don't know how to read him because he didn't really act like. Now, yes, it was one scene with the, like you guys said, the, you know, what aren't you telling me? But he didn't have that kind of swaying to his body and stuff. So I just literally don't know. Like, did they add that? Was that, you know, always part of his personality? But it's not Pirates of the Caribbean is like my thing, you know, so I'm all for that.
I mean, I think Wife Once a Wizard hit the nail on the head when he said, "That's the Riddler." And when I look at him, I just think, yeah, 100%. Right when he came to the I believe that was Hogshead when he arrived there, and he points to the MC and he goes, I'm here for him. Right? There's no need for trouble. I'm here for him. Right? That was such a powerful and amazing line. And then even, you know, and them outside going, "No, I've basically constructed this entire situation." So I think he's actually a mastermind of sorts. And I really love the dynamic. I think he's actually going to be one of my favorite characters in this game.
Yeah, building off that, I just think when you look at Rookwood's like lineage, and obviously the villains we have in Harry Potter, you Bellatrix Lestrange's, you Lucius Malfoy's early on, Voldemort, Dolohov Rookwood, they are in just intrinsic, you know, they're just evil to the core. You know, they don't have like this sort of the calmness, sort of this what Rookwood has is completely different to what we've seen from any sort of Potter villain before. In terms of everyone else as being 100% just up here, Bellatrix, Voldemort, evil, you know, kill, kill, kill. I think, Rookwood, he has more of a plan. He's more he's a lot calmer than any Potter villain. And yeah, I sort of like how different he is.
Oh, yeah.
I think Rookwood's that angry, sort of just typical Harry Potter villain. You know, I want to rule, I want to take over. But yeah, Rookwood's got that sort of layer. Barty Crouch Jr. almost, I feel like it'd be the most comparable sort of villain in Harry Potter. I think he's got that calmness, that sort of almost smartness that a lot don't have in the Potter universe.
I think they tried that with Grindelwald, and I don't think the movie really landed. But I think that was the kind of the plan of like a good reason behind. You can try to understand it, you know. Johnny Depp was unreal as Jack Sparrow. Gotta shout him out. It wouldn't be my channel if I didn't. Well, let's just go, I guess, right from that. I want to ask a couple of like ranking, like what would you put first kind of questions. So let's use characters. So what are the characters? And we can dip into maybe hot takes as well. Who do we think we're gonna like the most, that we think they're gonna do the best job with? And who do you think is gonna be some of the weaker elements of this game? So let me move everybody over. And while I do it, I will say Rookwood is kind of a personal favorite of mine. I think Black as a headmaster could almost just be like a joke, especially with Simon Pegg. And I think he's going to be fine, but like there's going to be nothing special about it. So if I were to say weak in terms of writing or whatever, I'd honestly almost nominate him. But let's hear what you guys.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that one too. I think that they put a lot of emphasis on him being like a really, really stern bad guy, but I don't feel like he's going to be all like a too big of an issue for us, to be honest with you. But I don't know. I think Sebastian has an interesting storyline. I think he's going to be one of my favorite characters to follow. It's pretty juicy. Hopefully, help him maybe figure out what's up with his sister, get his curse fixed. And on the one with, I don't know. I don't think I'd care to see Fig die. I think there might be a little more to Fig than what we see. So could be evil. You never know.
I definitely think there's going to be a lot of meme characters, like you're saying. Like the Professor Fig might just be a pushover. Professor Black might just be like the person that's following you around saying quips and being mean. Like there's going to be a lot of meme characters. But I think because I don't know much about Natsai, I think she'll end up being my favorite companion. And that's not saying that because she's a Gryffindor. It's saying it because Sebastian we know so much about, and Poppy I think's evil. I think Natsai's right in the middle. I think she's gonna end up having a really good story. So I think that's who I'm most excited to see.
Oh God,
Yeah, I think the for me it would be Sebastian would be the most important one for me. I really enjoy what they're going with it, right? How how his thread is very much ambiguous. We don't, it's he mentions, right, if we could use unforgivable curses if it means our own protection, right? Or if it means that's going to do we can act in save the world, if you will, right? That duality, it screams. I mean, it's just such a cool dynamic, right? And I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. And I think that that'll bring his demise, right? I think he's going to try to do everything in his power to save his sister, even if it means killing other people, torturing people, as we know. And I think he's 100% my favorite out of all the three. As far as the weakest link, I don't really have one, to be honest. I'm not ready to answer that because I really do want to see how much we're going to be able to interact with everybody else and how much this game is going to allow us to proceed with their narrative. I just, off tangent a little bit, but I just really hope that this doesn't bring up, like fetch quests or anything like that, because I really dislike those. I really hope that
they kind of talk about that though for the teachers, that a lot of the teacher kind of side quests sound like fetch quests.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I'm really hoping. Like The Witcher had a lot of. I love The Witcher games, right? But The Witcher had a lot of fetch quests. I remember beating the game and going, I have 50 open side quests, right? And I think that I really hope that the quests here are more centric to the narrative of the game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, the two characters I'm probably, other than Rockwoods, until this launch trailer, I wasn't too excited about Rockwoods, but I did find it interesting how they showed more of him than Ramrock, which I think fast because he's more of an interesting character. He's more, the dialogue is just more interesting, and he plays more of a part in our story rather than Ramrock. But the two characters other than him is Sharp and Sebastian's like uncle. I think it got confirmed as the guy who's in the dark trailer. Like what are you guys doing basically? I think he'll be interesting in terms of just what role he'll in the Sebastian storyline, which I think out of the three we know the most about in terms of like the motives, things like that, because that's his niece, and obviously if he thinks Sebastian's going too far, what's he doing for that? And yeah, Professor Sharp, in terms of a professor, I just think his backstory of being an aura, sort of like a grouchy, battle-worn hardened, sort of like a mix between Mad-Eye Moody and Snape it's a really interesting character. And there's again with Sly, I'm reserving judgment on any weak character. I think the just character I have the most worry for is ours. in terms of, obviously there's so much dialogue, so many choices. You have a dark light. It's just whether or not they can nail both in terms of how we perform. I think that's where I've got the most worry. And like I've said this before, it's just obviously our the voice and things. I know people have criticised it in the previews and retro say it was almost like a thing he didn't worry about. It was rushed, it was a bug, etc., etc. But yeah, I think our character themselves, because we'll be spending so much time with them. When I'm playing single player games like Arthur Morgan, John Marston, Nico Bellic, they're the centre. They're the ones you connect with most. So yeah, I want to be able to connect, and my choices show off in that character, and that's where I've got the most worry. Not worry, I guess it's that sort of apprehension. I'm not worried it'll be bad. I'm just apprehensive. I want it to be fully reflective of me.
That was a great answer. I never even thought about us. That was a great answer. I'm going to go completely opposite of what you said, though, Alex, because I cannot see Simon Pegg doing anything this week. I just cannot see Black.
I think they may make him like the joke of it. You know what I mean? Like I think it's not his lines, his purpose in the game.
Yeah, the way they wrote him in.
I don't know. The thing with me is so as soon as I figured out he was in the game, my instant thought was, who is the best villain in the Harry Potter franchise? And it's not Voldemort, it's Umbridge. And Umbridge is so good because she has the power to actually affect day-to-day life rather than like the wider Wizarding world. Like she fully affects everything that makes Harry happy in that place. She stops. So everything that makes me happy in this game of exploring Hogwarts and going around and seeing it, if he starts to affect that, I'm going to be so annoyed with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that I don't know. I don't think he's even one of my favorite characters. Rookwood. I think is going to be one of my favorite characters. I think Sebastian out of the companion seems to have the most compelling one so far. The weakest one for me at the moment, I think, is just Nat's side, because I don't know what her story is. And I'm not saying that she can be the weakest in the game. I just think at the moment, all she seems to be is a copy-paste of Poppy, because the only thing we ever see her doing is saving a Fantastic Beast. You know what I mean? She's in the High Wing mission. That's the backstory about her sounds amazing, but what does it actually have to do with everything in the wider world? So, I don't know. She just seems at the moment she hasn't been fleshed out at all. The weakest one, though, completely is the Ravenclaw companion, because what are they?
Well, and you're right. When you look at open world games, I'll always go back to Mass Effect just because it's one of my personal favorites. But you have kind of tiers, right? You got like the elites, the people that everybody kind of loves their storyline that you go through on their side quests, and then you have the ones that skip. And I've said this before, I really hope they are pretty transparent with like percentages on Twitter, where they say 40% of people played as Gryffindor as their first round. I hope they do that, and that will make some of the characters look more negative, because you could say who finished Poppy, and Poppy would be like 68%, and maybe not Sai, it's like 20, and you can clearly tell she's the least favorite, and maybe that hurts to some people there or the actress or whatever. But I like those things are just so cool to me. And the main character thing is super interesting too. I've always been a pretty big advocate that I am not impressed at all by that voice, and that's a really good point that I always tend to forget. You're with them the whole time. Everybody else swaps in and out, but you have to listen to this person talk the whole game. And if they drop the ball, it's going to hurt. But speaking of which, that actually leads to my next question by accident. If you had to say, so same kind of thing ranking wise, what would you say are going to be the general strengths of the game and the weaknesses of the game? So let's move. Last Marauder. We'll go like that. So general strengths and weaknesses.
I think the strength to me so far from what we've seen, I think everyone's saying that combat's really good. Obviously, the story should be the biggest strength. We don't know a lot about it, but this is what's going to have to captivate us to want to complete this game. So the story should be the biggest strength. But the biggest strength that we know so far is the IP. At the end of the day, it's the Wizarding world, and it's what everyone wants, and that is the main thing this game is running on. That is everyone. There's going to be gamers who have never played who've never read Harry Potter that want to play this game because it looks good and it's unique, because it's got a different sort of spell element and that sort of stuff. And there's going to be people that have never played games that are Harry Potter fans that want to play this game. So the strength of this game is the IP. But if we're specifically talking about what the strength of the game is so far from what I've seen, I think, one, the dev team seem to be so dedicated to making this perfect. Like the little snippets they've put in of like the map of Argyllshire and all that sort of stuff, they are really trying to make this canon accurate. But I think that's probably the highest strength, is the actual game is being made by fans.
Yeah.
100%. Let's see. I think the overall exploration, just the open world aspect, being able to explore the Wizarding World like never before in a video game with the amount of detail we can have now too. It's just absolutely, I think, one of the biggest applause for me. And I'm hoping this isn't true, but the weakness might just be maybe the world's a little empty in certain areas. I'm hoping it's not that way, but they can only do so much. So it's one of those things where it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I think the strongest thing is going to be the environment. And I am so ignorant to geography. Like, I have people telling me, like, Purple Witcher last night was like, oh, the Scottish hamlets look amazing. They've been done so well. And I'm like, oh, I've never been there, so I have no clue. But they look fantastic. And the castle I want to explore. But that's probably going to be the strongest thing. But in terms of weakness, I think the voice acting, I think they got to get away from not necessarily the acting, but the voiceover, where you've got a character facing the screen, the other one you see their back, and it just doesn't line up with their mouth. Games have to get away from that. That's been going on for 15, 20 years. I don't know how they let it fly still, but I think that will definitely be the weakest part.
Yeah, for me, the strongest aspect of this game is 100% what Boston Madison said, right? Get the letter to Hogwarts and go to Hogwarts. They are providing us with this amazing world, right? It looks very familiar. We know what to expect in a way, but we don't know what it's going to be like being there. And they're giving that ability to us. And not only that, but they're bringing us this amazing storyline. I think it's the the strongest aspect of the game is the storyline. I think the environment is there, right? It looks absolutely gorgeous. Hogwarts looks amazing, right? The Scottish Highlands look amazing. But I think what really ties everything together is that Wizarding World, aspect of the story, right? You feel like you're in the book, if you will. At least that's what I feel. Like when I watch all of the trailers and everything else, it feels like a Wizarding World story, right? There have been a bunch of different knockoffs and things that talk about the Wizarding World, but this one seems legit. It seems like it is. I think Troy just talked about in his latest video that he posted, that even though this is not 100% canon, right? He hopes it will make its way to canon, because it's just so beautifully done, right? And it's a game made for fans by fans, right? So that's my take on it.
I mean, if Cursed Child could be canon, this can be, trust me. No, but stuff obviously, yeah. The Wizarding World aspect, the whole open world. Like I'm the biggest guy when it comes to Harry Potter video games from the past, and the Hogwarts. We haven't had like an amazing Hogwarts since Order of the Phoenix. So you get the Hogwarts and then an open world. That's definitely the biggest strength that will draw so many people in. And just exploring that for hours upon hours, like you've talked about countless times. People will buy this game just to explore Hogwarts. They won't even bother with the story. Once you've got an explorable, AAA HD 2023 Hogwarts, that's game changing in terms of a game we haven't had for 17 years. In terms of the weaknesses, again, voice. I've been pretty strong on the voice acting from James's sort of trailer showcase. We talked about it then. But also, I just think shoehorning in RPG elements, like the lock picking, for example. if you've got too many elements like that, where you're just going to, because it's in RPGs before, like Skyrim, etc., you go have it in because it's an RPG, but it doesn't really fit the Harry Potter world. For example, Alohomora, it should just be a spell. Let's be honest. You shouldn't have to go lockpick a. What's the point of a spell? Just get the little lockpicking mechanic. I think shoehorning too many of them things in could detract from the immersion of the game in terms of it being a Wizarding World game. If I'm going to have to do a lot of them mini games for other things that are RPGs, I think that could become a weakness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my biggest one again with Nate is the voice acting so far, which is it's always been hard for children aged between 11 and 15 sort of thing. It is hard to get right.
Yeah, I think I never talked about the weakness in my opinion. I think that for me, we talked about this extensively yesterday. It's the inability of the NPCs to react with the things that we do in the game. Right, it seems like you look at the game and it seems so live and vivid and vibrant, and yet you can walk around and do things, and nothing that you're doing, at least from that dev kit presentation, right? There was a dev kit presentation, and maybe it was limited, but then it raises the question: why would they limit that in a worldwide showcase, right? But then again, I think that the inability for everybody or everything around us to interact with us was definitely a miss, and I hope that will be fixed eventually with a patch.
Yeah, I agree across the board. I think I've always said lore, right? Accuracy. Those are kind of my buzzwords for it. That's a 10 out of 10. The word perfect, I don't ever want to throw that word around for almost any game. But to be honest with you, if you're going to say they do anything perfectly, it's going to be that. And I think that gets, your points. You get like a 5, 6 out of 10 already just because it is about as accurate as you're going to get. There's nobody that can do it better than them. Everything else then is the wild card. I do think the story and characters are the things that I look for in any game. So those aren't guaranteed hits. I like overall what I've seen. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And then, how livable. I always talk about that, how livable it is. And, to make it clear, too, for anybody that maybe we're being too negative, I've always thought there's the rock stars and the CD Projekt Reds. There's them, even BioWare to an extent in different, elements. And then there's Hogwarts Legacy. I really don't think they are in that same, elite category of making it livable. Red Dead 2, I would never compare Hogwarts. Maybe that's the aspiration. That's what you try to reach is Red Dead 2, but it's just not going to happen. Now, once you make your billions of dollars, is there an excuse why it can't be that for the second game? I don't think so. I think you hire as many people as you need to. I think you have unlimited funding, and I think you try to make yourself as close to Rockstar as you can. So the excuses are there now, and I totally am fine with it. But in the next game, you need to start taking some steps up where, even as Nate said, the industry, like, let's be trendsetters. Let's figure out how we can stop doing the back and forth. I think Horizon tries, but it doesn't do it well. Then you focus on Aloy's hair moving through her clothes. Like, people have tried, but nobody's really been successful. So let's set some trends. Let's try some different stuff. Don't expect it now, but I do start to expect it, in the next game. We did get a question that was asking about the room of requirement, which we haven't really talked about. So let me shuffle this again. What do you guys think about? Are you going to use it a lot? Are you going to largely ignore it? What do you think? I've always talked about the positivity of it's like Animal Crossing, Dreamlight Valley. Like, this is a whole system that I really don't care about. I mean, I've been pretty open. I truly don't care. I'm probably not going to do much with it. But the amount of people that I guarantee you will do room of requirement builds and they'll have all these carpets, there's going to be so many videos like that. So it's important to some, just not me. So where do you guys kind of land on that?
Yeah, I think I said this last time I was on with the big one before Christmas. Like, it's something that surprised me. Where it never bothered me until I saw it. I was like, wow, it's got so much depth. It's almost like another game in a game sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, my girlfriend, I've convinced her to buy this game. Her two favorite games of all time are Animal Crossing and Sims. So these, like the requirement of the vivariums, I like them to put together. So I feel like with her, I'll be spending a lot of time with it. me in general, I am a lot more excited than I ever thought I would be. I won't be going to the like depths of customizing every little thing, the size of the portraits, how it looks. But obviously, there's a lot more into it that we're still not seeing, like the loom, like where we can detect what sort of abilities our clothing has and things. So I think that'll be the aspect I use the most. Other than, again, we've still got 2 Vivarians we don't know about that we see in the background. So we have seen a little bit of it. At the moment, it's something I'll mess around with a bit, but it'll be mostly the loom sort of area. And then, I'm intrigued what the other 2 variants are. If there's like a water one, if there's a snow one, I think I'd be more. Them sort of terrains appeal to me more than the generic sort of like land.
It's like Zoo Tycoon
variant.
when it's like the plain wild land, but then you can have like the aquarium, DLC.
Exactly.
Those are always more
No,
exciting.
that's what I'm like. Like I'm saying, my girlfriend, them sort of games are like her favorites, and she's got to be with me all week. So yeah, I think that first week, head into it, but after that, I feel like it will lose. It is limited in its experience. So yeah, I feel after a week or so, it'll be something I rarely touch.
I'm more excited about it than I thought it would be, to be honest. I'm looking forward to making it my own space and like sort of trying to make everything like my channel colors, that sort of thing, like customizing everything to look, like mine. So when you walk into it, or if anyone puts it in a video, like people will be like, "Oh, that's Marauders." You know what I mean? Like I like that side of things, but I also think there's a really interesting side of it as well, because we know we use that room a lot for like getting potions and like things that are going to help us progress throughout the game. So I'm sure there's going to be videos that are going to come out further down the line, and it's going to be like optimized builds and optimized, like if you put this here and this here and this here, then it means you can quickly do this circuit. And I think there's going to be like some really interesting videos that come out of it, as well as the customization. And I think that for me, in DLC further down the line, the room of requirements has a lot of potential, because every single thing that you release. So if like obviously talking about the underwater, if we add the underwater elements, then there's going to be new beasts to put into a new vivarium. There's going to be new ingredients to collect for new potions for, what I mean? And you're going to be finding like underwater items that you can put around the room. So you might get like a whole new style of roof that you could put on the room of requirement that looks aquatic. So I think that is going to be constantly updated, I think, and I think that's a really interesting part of it for me.
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to be a really interesting part, maybe playing through the game and earning stuff that you didn't have before. But I think for some people, it may be overwhelming, the amount of stuff that you customize. I'm all about the customization, changing everything from the size of the portraits down to about anything. But I think it is a little overwhelming with the amount of stuff, even in the vivariums, like the trees. You can make the trees a certain size. It's just kind of a lot. But I think it's definitely going to be something I'll spend a lot of time on, making it look just how I want it to look. And definitely the optimization of getting like the loom and beaters and everything like that, trying to figure out the best way to get it for the most optimal gaming experience.
This was made for me. And I think if you imagine how Ben saw it during the showcase, multiply that times like 100, and that was the little fanboy in me screaming for joy, because I am the person that will say during the P word in 2020, Animal Crossing saved my life, literally. Like, I put so much time into that game. So this is where the tangent comes in about Hogwarts Legacy. I am worried that it won't be enough, because I'm a person who is a big base building, Dragon Quest builders. I even played games that look like they're on PS1 just to build bases and exist in those worlds. I want to exist in Hogwarts. What am I allowed to do after I beat the game? Am I allowed to buy every upgrade? Am I allowed to have my own house? Am I allowed to go in those houses? What am I allowed to do? They did say during the second state of play or showcase, there were rooms that we haven't seen in the room of requirement. What are those? Can I do more things in there? Can I customize those? This is totally built for me, and I'm actually worried it's not going to be enough. Like, I want this to be the best part of the game.
Yeah, for me, it just feels like home, right? It feels like your own headquarters, if you will, in a game. The place that you can go to do your own thing, to study, to make your potions. I love everything about it, right? And the fact that you can customize literally everything is amazing. I mean, I initially I thought, well, it's just gonna be an area where we can, brew potions and whatnot and access of our vivariums, right? And it's just so much more than that. It feels amazing. It's something that I never thought they would integrate, and I'm very glad that they did. And going back to what Nate was saying, there's during the showcase, there's the whole area, the underground area that you can go to, and then it splits in a hallway, right and left. So there's a lot more, I think, that is going to be available to us. What? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe a spell area. I'm not quite sure, but I love everything about it. Uh, I've always loved to play The Sims, so to be able to customize everything, the glass dome above. I mean, when Ben looked at it, and I mean, it was an absolutely amazing in my opinion.
Yeah. When they were changing that above, that's the gotcha moment for me. I was like, oh, that's super. That's a super cool, moment. Yeah, I think that's when Troy talked to me, like, however, the very first time, and I asked him about like the team, what angle they were going down, because you could make this game too much for just fans and it's not a game, or you can make it too much a game and it's not for fans. And when he talked about like going for kind of everything like lightly, this is exactly kind of what I would imagine if you told me that. Like, this is something that probably doesn't need to be in the game at all, but it's a welcome addition. I don't think it'll be, I think it's too much for people that don't care about it. You know what I mean? So I agree with both Blake and Nate, where it's like, for me, like, it probably will be too much. I'll pick some default things and move on. But I think for people that just want that, it actually won't be enough. But that's just because it's trying to go for, right? It's just another element that's, oh, you can do this. And that, I think that makes this game kind of special, because they are definitely shooting for as many people as possible. And yeah, what you get is, maybe that's why I've always, not concerned, but the story is a make or break. The characters are a maker, because they've never really done that either. They've never told this big of a story, these branching narratives. They've never done it. And if you're kind of going for everything, is everything on like an average level, except for like the accuracy part that's like elite, everything else is fine, because then that's, I don't know how I'd like the game. And we just have to, play it to know.
I'm really interested in how Deke comes into the story as well, because he got like a really big mention and it's not mentioned at all, and I'm just really interested to see how he plays out.
Yeah, I think, Alex, off of you, this game is going to be for everyone, but no one at the same time, I think, is the way it's been described, because it's got so many like 5 out of 10 elements that can satisfy people, but it's not going to be enough because they're going to want more, which is why I think a sequel or additional DLCs is going to make this game or the next game just amazing.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. That goes into this little question. Do you think we'll get another game after Hogwarts Legacy? And do you think we'll be able to import our previous game like Mass Effect? Yeah, I think the importing thing 100%, and that's why it's got to be very structured, right? You can't go off the beaten trail. What do you guys think? Well, if you got, while we're answering this question, just for the chat, if you want to fire, I try to do these yes/no questions, just yes/no questions, and we'll rattle them off in like a rapid fire. But while we're waiting for that, what do you guys think about the future? The game comes out. You can mention reviews if you want. Sales. What do you think the next year and a half? What do you think it looks like? Let me move everybody and go ahead.
Yeah, I actually think there will be DLCs applied to this game, right? There will be mods. I think the modding area is I mean, they're gonna go to town in this game, I think. But I do find it hard to believe that there's going to be continuity, meaning there will be a second game. If this game does well, and I think it will go well, but I think it's gonna be something completely different. I'm very worried as we stand right now, with the amount of information that we have, the ability to play the game after we beat it. Right? What else is going to be out there other than potential side quest DLCs and whatnot? The side quest, the main story, if you will, seems very linear, although we can target the final outcome through various different ways. But I do think that brings up a point of is it going to be good enough to continue, right? What else are we going to be able to do as a fifth year? Are they going to touch this as Harry Potter, right? Are we going to do a sixth or seventh year? I would say that we're going to close our chapter, right? We're going to awaken the ancient magic. We're going to figure this out, protect it, rescue it, and then eventually put it away safely. And that's how the game will close its curtains. And then the second one is going to be a new story, if you will.
So yeah, it's hard to comment on this because obviously we don't know anything about this story still. I suspect there's someone in the chat though who may know a little bit more than us. No, but I'm sticking by my guns. I've said it in the previous streams and stuff. The story can't be too big. I know it's not canon yet, and Troy hopes it's going to be canon. I do too. You are confined by canon in terms of you can't make this story too explosive, too big, where it's never mentioned in Fantastic Beasts or in Harry Potter, for example. You are confined by that. And I also like the idea. I've always stuck by it. I want this to be, rather than what I think it's what I want, to be an anthology series. I love how people talk about Triwizard tournaments, things like that. We've talked about Merlin and the Founds a lot. Obviously, this game can't have that in terms of a Triwizard tournament because the last one was in the 1700s. So why not for the next one? You can. There's so many different models of Hogwarts as well from the films. You've got the Chamber of Secrets, Philosopher's Stone. You've got Prison of Azkaban. It evolved with the films. You can take the different models of the castle, put it in a game, and you can base it in the 1600s. Have a Triwizard tournament. You're one of the champions, and yeah, you go through that, or you can be a guy who went to the very first year of Hogwarts. Things like that. I'm hoping for more of an anthology series, but obviously without knowing the story and how it goes, I can't answer. Will it be if it's set up for a sequel? We'll know that in a week or two.
A week? I plan to know that in about 3 days. I would like there to be a sequel, but I'm concerned about a sequel. Like, obviously, in most sequel games, you've got to somehow bring your character back to a basic level so that you can level them up again. I don't know how they do that with the Wizarding World. Unless losing the ancient magic removes magical abilities or something like that. It would be a very difficult thing to do to remove the spells that we've already learned, so we have to learn them again or something along those sort of lines. Because that was the one thing that was strange about obviously the old games is you always learn the same spells over and over again.
They never managed to do that in any of the Potter games.
No, so it's just strange. I would like this to be more than one story. I would like this to sort of span. I would like this to be a story about the Goblin Rebellion and something like that. But there's also like an underlying longer story, and I would like that to play out, and I would like there to be the full 3 years left of Hogwarts. But again, it's got to be done right. And if anyone's going to do it, I think this team at Avalanche will do it because they seem to be doing everything right so far. But I don't know is the honest answer. I don't know how they would do it with the progression and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think if they do it, team at Avalanche is going to be the one to do it very well. I think it's just hard to tell right now the way if it's going to be set up for a sequel or not. But I definitely think the modding community is going to be huge for Hogwarts Legacy way down the road. I think they're honestly probably working on another Wizarding World game. I don't know if it's any relation to this, but I'm sure there's other Wizarding World games in the work currently. But I see some DLC being made for the game, but I think the modding will eventually will just take precedence over, especially for Hogwarts Legacy. But they can only add so much for DLC before they can't do anything else.
I 100% agree with all of you guys, but I'll add something. I think the sales of the game already have warranted additional content. Now, I mean, no matter what that is, whether it's a sequel or DLCs, I mean, it's #1 selling game on 3 different platforms already. Yeah. So, and you don't even have the Switch coming out yet. So, with that being said, I think it would benefit greatly from a multiplayer component. You could do a Ghost of Tsushima Legends where you just do trials or raids together. That would be amazing. Or you could do some sort of like a live service. Every 3 months, you get a 20-minute or a 20-hour DLC.
It would be
But
20 minutes, depending on the
yeah,
company.
20 minutes literally. I think the biggest question with the DLCs though is when, and I don't think you can release anything before the Switch comes out. And I honestly, if I'm being 100% serious, I think it's kind of a slap in the face if you release something before February 2024, because not everyone has the full game with that exclusive PlayStation Quest.
Oh, yeah.
So I think you can't even do DLCs until next year. So we'll kind of bounce back and forth on that, but I think the sales, like I said, have already warranted additional content.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think I go back and forth on DLC because DLC, I think just factually, it slows things down, right? You do
Mhm.
DLC, now maybe you have a smaller team doing DLC, full team doing the next game, but you're still slowing it down. So you're sacrificing, you get a 10-hour DLC in a year, but you're sacrificing 1.5, 2 years from how long 2 would come out. So I would, of course, take DLC, but I'm just scared on that specific element. I think we all kind of get the sense now that like this was all they had done. Like, I think for a while, I want to believe, like Blake said, there's more games, like there's other studios. And this is something I don't think I've ever been able to put into words all that well. So I won't even try to here, but I think this is the start of a Wizarding universe of Portkey Games doing more than mobile stuff. And I would like that to have already happened behind the scenes, but I get the sense through just my own intuition, I suppose, that this is it. And I really think for whatever God unknown reason, they're waiting for this game to, blow the doors off. Then they say, all right, give us your pitches other than Avalanche. Avalanche makes Hogwarts Legacy 2. Does somebody want to make Quidditch? Does somebody want to do this? And that's I think that's hopefully better than I've ever said it before.
Yeah.
That's the path forward. That's what Marvel does. That's what Star Wars does. They'd be morons if they didn't do the same thing.
With that, though, I feel they're more restricted in terms of, do you think WB would lend it out to other people? In terms,
WB has never shown to do that, so this will be the first time.
Exactly. With Star Wars, they obviously, LucasArts had, they've always subcontracts and stuff. I think WB are a lot more protective of their IPs. Where
James Gunn maybe because of DC. I think DC would be the first. I want to see a studio outside of their own. I want somebody to do a DC game, because that will show me that the higher ups are saying, all right, we can license it out. But that's what Portkey Games is supposed to do. So what are they doing if they're not doing that? You know what I mean? That's their whole goal, is to pitch games and get other. I think their motto is like working with studios to make Wizarding World games. You're not really doing that if you're waiting for this game to sell well. You're sitting there for years and making mobile stuff. But I have a biasness against that.
This could go the other way as well, though, because it doesn't just have to be. Hopefully, this could be a platform for many different platforms. Because if you look at what Star Wars does, they've got books, they've got comics, they've got TV series, they've got movies. If you're going to look at the wider perspective, if this game really kicks off and goes onto a different platform to the movies and the books that have already been out there, then there's no reason why we can't start exploring, because the Wizarding World is ever present and just unbelievably massive. Like, you could do so much with it. I would watch a TV program of like a buddy cop movie or like a buddy cop series, like just as Aura's going about their day-to-day stuff, and like they could do so much with this, and they could link it all in, and they could start to in the next, if there's a Fantastic Beasts movie next, it's unlikely at the moment, but if they do another one, they might just throw a little nod in, just mention something from the game and just throw it on, and people that have played the game would be like, oh my god, that's that, and it can really start to expand everything.
Well, this is going to do better than I think the last like 2 Fantastic Beasts movies. Gaming is bigger than and it's not like a diss, but like gaming is bigger. So this not only, it's actually wild when you think about it. Not only is this a jumping off point for other studios to make Wizarding World games, but this is the kick in the butt that they thought Fantastic Beasts would do. Like, they thought Fantastic Beasts would be the future, and boy, was it not. But this game, with the excitement and just everything, this is getting David Zaslav to, make the show. Even though the rebooting Harry Potter is not a great idea, but I bet you they do it. Like, they're all in, and this game probably is the catalyst for it, which is kind of nuts to put it all on one game from a studio who's never done it before. But it is what it is, and I feel like it's as successful as it possibly can be.
The really interesting thing as well is that she, who must not be named, hasn't got a lot to do with this. So it's like she's allowing the franchise to move forward without her. And obviously, this is the first time that's been seen, because the Cursed Child had a lot of influence from her, and
Mhm.
the Fantastic Beasts have all had a lot of influence from her. So if she is now going, okay, move forward without me, I trust you, then that is when we can really start to see a lot
I
of
still
really good
feel
stuff.
it's just. I think it's just a game thing. From I was going to mention that. I think for it to really kick off with books, everything, all that sort of. If it was going to go down that avenue,
You need her.
I still think it needs her. Yeah, I think stuff like a reboot.
Well, it has to.
Yeah, I
It's
think
her
with a
IP.
game, she's gone. Yeah, cool, make a game, whatever. That'll get me money. But yeah, with other
Okay.
things like going forward, TV shows or anything, I don't think she's in a George Lucas situation. Like, oh yeah, cool, you do that. I'll just sit here. I think she's got her yeah, this needs to go through me with anything like that.
So a couple things. James makes an interesting point. Expect to Go. Porky Games has worked with 4 different developers on mobile: Niantic, Jam City, NetEase, and Avalanche. And I think a lot of people get in the weeds too far into what the developer is versus who's the publisher versus who's whatever.
Yeah.
And not to dog WB or anything, but they've never turned down an opportunity to make money. So if it comes down to licensing Portkey out to different companies and saying, hey, Portkey, you're now going to work with this company and you're going to make this game, they're going to do it to make money. And that brings up the question that after having this conversation is, do we really think how many companies turned down the proposal for this?
Yeah.
Or was
It is,
WB like, because of the whole controversy, was WB just the one that's like, I'm going to make money, we're going to fall on this sword? Or was it like, did other people turn it down?
And
I
there's 2 parts to that too. With not only would I be interested to see if there are pitches, how little they get, or whatever, but also, and it has been brought up, and it's a really good point. The biggest thing that probably should scare anybody about the Wizarding World games expanding is, can you ever have another team like Avalanche?
Right.
And I think honestly, talent levels are all over the place in different genres of games. I think there are more talented teams. Like I don't ever doubt that. But in terms of for the fans, the communication, going with the fans for the gameplay showcases and stuff, does anybody follow their lead? I hope this is a movement, but are people too chicken? And I kind of get the sense, not to get too, I kind of get the chicken argument is kind of strong in my head right now. But you know what I mean? That, and I've seen that I think a week or 2 ago when I pitched, say there's 5 Wizarding World games at once by different teams. Is there another Chandler? Is there other teams that are going to respect it as much? Or are they going to be anti? We've seen studios that just flat out don't care. Can we ever replicate this? And I don't actually have a lot of confidence in that.
Yeah,
I think they did sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Nate.
I think they almost had to do what they're doing. And I think they're doing Avalanche, specifically Avalanche, taking everybody else out of the equation, is doing a fantastic job. They've shown that they're passionate about the game. This is the best marketed game I've seen in 30 years. There's no question about it. But the reason I feel like they have such a special set of people, they had to try to always spin this game in a positive light because of so many people that were going to spin it in a negative light. And they've done that so well. And I don't know if other companies, like you're saying, is there going to be another Chandler? I don't know if other devs can do what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And that's just a shame. So I don't think they have a choice to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that WB, when they decided to, okay, we're gonna make this happen, I think they were trying to rekindle the Wizarding World, right? We had the whole thing with Fantastic Beasts and the Cursed Child, and I think that they were looking for that passion. They were looking for that level of commitment and love, and I think they found that at Avalanche, right? I keep saying it. It's a game made for fans by fans. There is a lot of love. There's a lot of commitment, right, in this game, from all of these people working on it, and it's gotten to a point that it has reached so many people that I don't think they thought that was going to happen. I mean, there's people, gamers who have never been interested in Harry Potter in the Wizarding World, right, coming into this world and going, wow, this is actually quite amazing.
Yeah.
Let's look into this. There are people who are going back to reading the books, people who have never read the books before, going, oh yeah, I'm gonna read this. This is actually kind of cool. It's definitely rekindled the passion and love for Harry Potter and the Wizarding World. And I think this is going to be huge for this specific world as we move forward. I think they are going to be doing a lot of Wizarding World stuff from now on for sure.
And the
Okay.
reverse of that as well with like the Potter Collector. He's not a huge
Yeah.
gamer, but
100%.
it brings people who are in the Wizarding World into the gaming scene just with the
Yeah.
power and excellence of this game.
Yeah.
Going to Nate's point, obviously, Troy mentioned in his video last night about did they see what happened to him and then have to refocus of how we're going to market this game, because he was like, there is going to be they realize a lot of people are going to be negative to this game, so let's focus on the fans, focus on that love rather than a general audience first, to build that trust, that relationship. And yeah, it obviously is an interesting thought of how it, because it was very quiet at the start, pre-Chandler, there was nothing really. I mean, there was the statement about it being delayed in January 22, and then it was like 11 months of radio silence, and then Chandler got on board, and you had the state of play and things,
which is very odd, by the way, for a single player open world RPG to have a community manager is actually weird. Like it's not even normal to do that. You normally it normally is some sort of multiplayer component.
Yeah,
that's
I mean everything done so far with the marketing has been unreal, has been unprecedented, right? They've done such a wonderful job marketing this game, being able to reach, the amount of people that they have reached. It has been amazing, right? We talked about this on the stream yesterday. They've been able to build up so much hype with very little information.
Yeah,
very little information. So
not many people can do those Twitter posts of. I'm trying to think of some of the more ridiculous. There's to be honest, there's ridiculous Twitter ones. The jump one, I was told by a couple people could have literally been towards me. I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I was told that literally could have been specifically targeted towards me. But yeah, some of the but even like, and I guess that's ridiculous for a different way. Some of the ones that like, who actually cares about these things? And the answer is us. But for any other game, these day-to-day posts that garner likes, people sometimes make videos on it, and it could be just the most simple of things. 99%, like they've done so well from the marketing and all that stuff. They've also walked into like a gem, and all they needed to do was to just go for it. Like that's the stupid thing with this entire situation is if you just take this risk, it's not really a risk, you're fine. And you kind of walk into, people are naturally excited for this. You just have to nail it. And that leads them to doing a lot. They do daily posts, but they really don't do a lot. Like it's not much, and it still works. There's still YouTube videos get hundreds and hundreds of thousands. That doesn't work for every game, even every open world game. There's very few that can do this. So everything kind of came together perfectly. Some with them trying, some without them even trying. Like it's magical to use it really is how it's all worked.
Can I just flip some of the things we said on the header slightly as well now? Is if this game is going to be such a monster that we think it's going to be, with the sales it's got already and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
And you were saying like, how many companies turned this down because of the concerns, that sort of stuff. It's like, if this is going to be that big and they do start looking at, Telltale, do you want to do this? Can a company turn this down now? That's
Probably
what my thought is.
Yeah,
Like,
there's no way.
if somebody is offering
So
you
many pitches,
Wizarding World IP, you can't turn it down now. So the possibilities now are just endless. You cannot turn this IP down.
It's going to get messy, though. Like the next couple of years will get messy because people are going to have to accept taking the risk. They're going to have to throw themselves in the fire, and you're going to kind of see it publicly because you're going to get.
You can't turn
This
it
reward,
down.
though.
You're going to get these companies that have put
risk.
out posts before on Twitter, these kind of like, accepting posts, and they're going to make a Hogwarts game or a Harry Potter game. And it's like, oh, but you once said this, and now you're working with her. It's going to be like that, literally, no matter what. And it's going to be a lot of fun for, I guess, specifically me to watch.
I personally think the floodgates have opened, and I think people are starting to pitch a lot of Harry Potter and Wizarding World ideas now. I think this game, it has broke many barriers, if you will, even with the boycotting and everything else, and the community being so strong and just proceeding to support this game is absolutely amazing, right? And that level of commitment from the community allows these producers to basically look at it and go, this is strong. We definitely have the ability to create something very special here.
Any other throw-ins to that one? I got another question on the top of my head.
Travis says money is far more important than companies than morals. That's
I was gonna say
100%
values.
true.
Yeah,
most of the time,
those
yeah.
things go right out the window.
It's a lot of zeros.
Yeah, and money talks, and that's the older you get, it does. And you might not understand that when you're younger, but when you can now pitch ideas from, like you guys were saying, maybe multiple companies are coming to Portkey Games and are like, hey, I want to do a Quidditch game. Hey, I want to do a Telltale style game. Hey, I want to do this. I want to do a Sim City Hogwarts. Like, I bet people are talking because it's gonna be
Like, how can EA
Yeah.
resist not trying to throw a Quidditch team together?
And
Like,
right.
like how can the
I don't
microtrans?
know.
Now that doesn't mean it's going to be a good game.
Even
Like,
even re-releasing the games, like the
Yeah.
original free PC games, if they can go back, they're seeing how popular the Hogwarts Legacy is, and in the like the build up, the clamor to have them three back. I know Retro's in the chat's done like the walkthroughs and the the stuff the views he gets on that and things like that. Just them three PC games, or like to try and re-release them. EA, like let's be honest, one of the greediest. Like they must be seeing the dollar signs shining out their eyes, something like that.
I call the next announcement going to be Lego Harry Potter remake, like the Star Wars one.
I saw there was a comment earlier that said about Lego.
It's going to be the next announcement.
As long as it adds talking, that's my biggest down.
Yeah. Exactly the same as the Star one.
The grunts.
So the question is, and let's just keep it here because we'll start to wrap up. What if you had control over, Portkey Games? What's your plan? How many games would you try to do? What kinds of games would you do? A Hogwarts Legacy 2? What, you're the boss. What would you do in the future here?
Well, it's a very good question. I think what I would personally do is I would make a game about the founders, building up Hogwarts and the early years, right? Or at least being someone in that environment, right? There's so much lore, there's so much unknown, so much mystery involved in that era. I think that would be just absolutely amazing, right? The awakening of ancient magic, we even touch that, the elemental and raw power of magic, right? From back then, just screams mystery, secrecy, and interest.
Yeah, I mean, to me, obviously the most popular is like a Quidditch sports sort of esports game, but I get a lot of, obviously I'm quite vocal on why I'm happy this one's sort of single player focused. It doesn't mean I don't want a multiplayer game. The Star Wars games back in the day where you could just choose what you wanted to be. If you wanted to be a farmer, you wanted to be a bounty hunter, a scoundrel, Jedi. I want a Wizarding World game like that where you can just pick sort of what role you want on a massive sort of multiplayer game. There's loads of you on there. You choose. You want to be an Auror, work at the Ministry, be at Hogwarts, shopkeeper in Hogsmeade. That's what you want to be. I love that sort of multiplayer sort of game because I do think there is a future for these sort of games being multiplayer on a mass sort of server. I think that's what we should look at next. Now they've brought a single player game out. What can we do with multiplayer?
Yeah, I would channel my inner Niffler and try and make as much money as possible and just go with the biggest popular things that you could do. So MMORPG is obviously, everyone wants that. Everyone wants to be able to walk around Hogwarts with your friends and just mess around and like Skyrim Online, that sort of thing. Just go around, do little missions, but just with your mates and just run around Hogwarts. You'd have to do a Quidditch because everyone's been talking about Quidditch for this game as well. But then I would also look at other really popular things and try and like break into different elements. So like esports elements, perhaps you could do some sort of like MOBA game with the characters and the creatures from the Wizarding World and try and break into that side of things as well and just trying to branch out the franchise as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yep. I definitely think the multiplayer side of things is what I would go for. I'm a huge multiplayer guy, so doing multiplayer Hogwarts and multiplayer would be absolutely insane. At the minimum, like a co-op would be pretty cool, just so you could do something with your friends and not for everyone who's not completely for single player. But I think it's gonna be a bright future for the world.
I think the easy answer is what you guys have talked about, like Quidditch and maybe a trilogy, like 1 year for the next game. But with those, I worry a little bit about how much content they can really add to like a year 2 and 3. Because if you've already got the school and the Hamlet, you have to kind of expand further, maybe Diagon Alley or London or stuff like that. Selfishly, though, just like you guys are saying, I want a multiplayer game, but I would like it to be more like a Destiny or maybe even like an Arc where you're maybe a little bit older and you're just in the wizarding world. You can make a base with your friend, back to the base building elements,
That would
go on raids, go on stuff like that. It could even be open or closed servers. So you could have you duel other like 100-person servers. So you could duel other clans, do stuff like that. And that would be like a dream game for me.
Yeah.
I don't think that's anywhere close, but yeah,
That'd be
definitely
good set during the Wizarding
multiplayer.
War, because it would be the
Yeah,
dark
yeah.
element. That would be really good. Like, yeah, even the first Wizarding War, something like that.
100%.
That'd be great.
I think the like selfishly, as whatever you want to consider us, content creators, YouTubers, whatever, having the ability to play with your friends increases our value because we can make content with other people. We can do challenges, we can do other things like that and make better content for you guys. And I know that's not their like main goal, but it's just like a selfish desire for us.
Yeah. No, I agree with all of it. I think, again, I try to go for it. I would literally just try to go for it. And you're going to run into the issues of, will you ever, be able to match Avalanche with like the fandom stuff? But Quidditch, easy one. I approached, like Last Marauder said, I approached like Telltale. I would approach Telltale with a lot of things. I always pitch my Scream game and I would go straight to Telltale for that one. Something small, but that would be like a small episodic kind of thing. If you can do like Wizards chess, I certainly would like it, because I mean it's not Gwent. It could never become something like that. So it's probably best you just insert it in Hogwarts Legacy, and that was a big miss. But you could do something with that if you are looking for money. Any of these, I think the multiplayer ones are. I can't imagine that you see this, right? We talk about. I think they are aware enough to see how big this has become, right, in terms of just impact. I don't know how you ignore multiplayer, microtransactions, season pass, the money just like is right there in their eyes.
100%.
It would be honestly, it would be so much more. You'd be worried so much more for those kind of games than if you think I'm worried now or I'm too critical of Hogwarts Legacy. Wait till there's a multiplayer only game. But I mean, you go for it. Those are easy, and I can't imagine, even if we don't want them, those are the ones we will get.
Just do a battle royale. Give it to Epic. Let them do a battle royale.
Oh, wow. That would be crazy.
I mean, that would definitely make money.
Yeah.
Have they been in Fortnite? I don't
Pick up
pay
different
attention.
spells as you go rather than weapons,
what
and
is
then
that? There's a wizard battle royale. I can't
There is,
Spellbreak.
yeah.
Spellbreak. Yeah, I played it a little bit. It was kind of cool.
It is
What's
quite
that
cool.
one game that is definitely ripping off spells and whatever?
I saw.
Switch.
Yes, I've been seeing a lot of people pushing that game.
Totally ripping off Hogwarts Legacy.
But they could
lot
even
of-
just do little simple games on your phone that aren't necessarily games, but like Chocolate Frog Collected, like, and actually have. I mean,
Port
you don't
Key is probably
necessarily-
already on it.
Yeah, you don't have to,
Yeah.
Be real.
yeah, you don't have to make them have like actual monetary value, but you could make them have actual monetary value and all that sort of stuff. Like you could buy packs, and there's so much they could do with the franchise.
Even this
Yeah.
Midnight Suns. I don't know if you guys XCOM Midnight
Mm.
Suns. Oh my god, I could just that would be freaking sweet. Yeah,
Take
just
out
go
the
for it.
cards, it'd be perfect.
Yeah,
Just
different
straight XCOM.
spells, different potions and stuff. I'd love that.
I mean,
Um,
Hogwarts Harry Potter Magic Awaken is kind of touching that as well whenever it does come out, right? So there's also that aspect as well.
Just release it already.
I know.
Cheese and rice.
Come on.
So any we'll just go down the line. Any last? This is it. At least for the group, we'll bring the group back together and mix and match once the game is out. But 3 days out, 2 days, depending on wherever you live and stuff. How's everybody feeling? Any final thoughts to the chat? All that stuff. We'll just go in order.
I feel inspired. I feel rekindled. I feel that the Wizarding world is strongest as ever. And it's a wonderful, wonderful time to be a Wizarding World fan right now. There's just so much ahead of us, so many opportunities. I really do think this has basically brought Harry Potter and the Wizarding world back into the mouths of people. I think people are talking about this game. I think the media is talking about this game, and I think it is going to break record. It certainly has the potential for doing so. I started this, the Aura Division channel just about 3 months ago, and the number one reason that I started the channel was because of the amazing people involved in this community. Right, it's nothing like it, and it's only growing. And it's not just about the game, right? We're making friends in this journey, best friends. We're all having our own little journeys, right? There's just so much more ahead, and I can't wait to see what's in front of it.
Yeah, I can't put it better in terms of the journey and the friendships and things we've made. The people on the stream tonight, obviously, I've connected with over last year, which is just crazy, the amount of people you meet through it. But yeah, it's so surreal. We're 3 days away. The surrealness of it all after all these years, it's just crazy that the speculation will be done. I won't need to talk about this. What if this is in there in 3 days? I'll be playing it on my TV. It'll be right there, and
You could still ask.
But it's that dauntingness as well of like, I did an expectations video today. It's like I'm not going in with the highest of expectations, but yeah, it's that thing of, am I going to be burned still? It's so daunting now. Like, after all these years, and what if it's that thing of, it's not as good again. It's broken. That fear with modern gaming, I guess, which is I've still got, but the excitement is so much above that. But yeah, it's just that little fear below. This is a modern game. What if we're burned again?
I am more excited for this than I've been for anything released ever. I cannot wait, but at the same time, I'm terrified because I don't know. Like, it's a completely new for a channel that's covered all the trailers. It's really peculiar now to know that I'm actually going to be playing the game, and like my channel's going to change a direction. And yeah, it's just strange. But the journey over the last couple of years has just been unbelievable. The community, everyone in the chat, I've made friends. There's people in the chat that I don't know who they are, but they chat regularly to me, and it's just this community is just absolutely fantastic. And doing this initially was just me seeing what would happen, but actually the community has just pushed me more and more and more to just want to be part of this community. And I'm hoping that when the game's out now, this community is still going to be there, still going to support it, and it's just going to carry on. But my main feeling at the moment is excitement. I just cannot wait.
100% excitement. I'm going to go into the game with realistic expectations because it obviously can't be perfect, but I think it's going to be everything that we've been waiting for. I think it's only up from here for the Wizarding World, bringing Wizarding World fans and gamers together. It's just everything we need to keep pushing it forward. And the community, like you guys have said, the community is absolutely amazing. All the way from the creators to the fans of the Wizarding World. Hogwarts Legacy just keeps pushing me to make better content. I'm sure it is for all you guys. I can't wait to see what it has to offer.
Yeah, I'm definitely more excited than I have been in a while. And I've been on record saying this. I try not to be because Cyberpunk burned me so bad. And I want this game to be everything I ever wanted over my lifetime. And I will beat this drum into oblivion that mental health is so important. And so many people here and myself have struggled with it. And the Wizarding World has been such a big part of that. And being able to now use whatever you want to say, escapism or whatever, to play this game and finally be a part of something that you wanted to be a part of is unreal. So I've loved everybody I've met. Even like Last Marauder said, the people in the chat, I have no clue who you are. Some people might even not use your real name as a chatter, but I feel like it's just such a big and important piece of pop culture right now that I couldn't appreciate everybody more.
Well said, gentlemen. Yeah, it's been a journey. It's gonna change. That's the scary yet, and even from multiple perspectives. When the game comes out, could it nail it? Is it going to be everything we want? Is it going to be disappointing? But then also us it's a little bit different, for each individual and for us versus say some of the viewers, but things change. Videos that work, they don't work. You pivot, you change. When the game's done, people's attention spans aren't too great in 2023, right? There's things that happen. So, just kind of have to live in the moment as much as possible. I do a terrible job at that, but I say, you know, to do it to other people. But it's been incredible, this long journey we've had, and we're finally almost there. And for a couple people in the chat there, I don't know why they're on the chat and not playing the game themselves, because we know they have it. But yeah.
Is that a sign?
Yeah.
Is it taking a break? Oh, I'm sick of it already.
Yeah.
No.
Retro said he was playing God of War. I don't know if I believe
That's
that.
Let's not beat it. We're not here to beat around the
No.
bush. We know who's got it. And be careful out there. I mean, there's a lot
Kratos
of
confirmed in Hogwarts Legacy.
yeah.
Yeah, Kratos.
There's a lot of leaks, and I think in the next couple days, I said this right before we went live, the ending is gonna be available. Like, I've zeroed out. People will be spreading it, so just be prepared. Right now, you can find a lot of stuff online if you want to, and I'm sure probably by Sunday, Monday, the ending will be known. And I'm not super upset, to be honest. Like, it's the way games work in the modern day.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you all being here. The chat, you five, thank you so much, for being here. Of course, if you guys haven't subscribed to any of them, the links are all in the description. All their @ takes you right to their channel. What a ride. And we'll see you very, very soon. I'm sure we'll try to get all together. Everybody's got their own little thing that they'll be doing on their own channel. So make sure, again, we're all supportive. And I'll try to bring as many people back. There's a lot of creators, but we'll see how many people we can bring back for some event after the game is out. And Troy's coming back like 2-3 weeks after the game, so that's locked in. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you all on the next one.
Thank you, everybody.